So in Israel, 80% of the people are Jews, 20% of the people are Arabs or Palestinian Arabs. So we are a minority in Israel. We are second class in many ways also. At the same time, among the Palestinian Arabs in Israel, I am a Christian and not Muslim, like most people are Muslim here. So we are like 10% of the Palestinian Arabs. Maybe 2% of all of Israel are Christians. So I am also a minority there.
The identity is a very complicated thing. I have a Palestinian heritage. Then I'm a citizen of Israel, so I have an Israeli citizenship. And my top priority in my identity is being a Christian. And that's where my identity is God comes first always. And to me, actually being an Arab Christian in Israel is the best way to understand what the Bible said as having no home on earth. My home is in heaven. I think that on its own is a privilege. And being in Nazareth, where Jesus started his ministry, is a privilege as well. Because 2,000 years ago, Nazareth kicked out Jesus. They didn't want him, right? And he never came back. And one of our vision is to see how we bring him back victorious to his own city that kicked him 2,000 years ago.
So I graduated from Nazareth Baptist School and went to the Technion in Haifa, which is the Israeli Institute of Technology, which is one of the best schools in Israel, and it's very well known also worldwide. So it was tough for years to get a computer science degree. At the time, it was very hard for an Arab like myself, who was a Palestinian Israeli citizen, to find a job in the Israeli high-tech market. Most of my Jewish classmates found jobs easily, and I couldn't find a job. I found a temp job as a school teacher, and this was it, like depression of some kind, like what's gonna happen to me? I have big dreams. I worked very hard to get a degree, and I couldn't get a job.
Nazareth itself used to be majority Christians, right? Majority of Nazareth used to be Christian. Today, the majority of Nazareth is actually Muslims. 75% are Muslims and 25% Christians. A lot of the Christian families, they immigrated. They left the country because of the difficulties and the challenges after 48. They want to look for a better life. And they have less kids per family than the Muslims.
So Galilee is quieter, less developed. And yet we know from technology, there's a few different competing forces that create innovation. One of them is obviously you want to have critical mass of certain resources, and they tend to be congregated in the higher centers, urban centers. However, another important ingredient for innovation is the ability to think outside the box. And so that's why usually the radically different ideas come from the periphery and not from the center. So the resources are in the center, but some of the innovative thinking comes from the periphery.
So I was working at this company near the Sea of Galilee, and we had a guy who was a refugee from former Yugoslavia who came to work with me. He was very talented, lots of ideas, like a really superstar. So he worked with me, and then soon he moved to Tel Aviv, and then he ended up in the Silicon Valley. But he was my friend. So I told him, when you go to the Silicon Valley, remember me in your kingdom. And a few months later, he did. He phoned me. He said, we have a job. We need people like you. Can you come? One of the problems here is that lots of people immigrate. Christian Arabs immigrate. They go to America, they never come back. But Silicon Valley was like a dream come true, working in the place where all the high-tech companies are there. So I took the job. The model I saw was interesting. They talked a lot about Apple then, the first version of Apple. But also the company that inspired me was like the story of Hewlett and Packard, how two friends started a company in a garage. And I would drive around Palo Alto and that area, and you see all these HP everywhere. And it just started with two guys who had an idea, and then it's everywhere. I also had a dream when I was a kid. I wanted to have my own company. But now I saw that everybody can do it, but I wanted to do it home, back in Nazareth. So we started in the basement of my parents' house, a very narrow house with a small basement. But we did not need lots of space because all you need is just a computer and some good ideas. So we started doing consulting with enterprise software around the north of Israel. So Nazdaq is Nazareth Data Quest. We are very proud of being from Nazareth. Nazareth is not just another town, it's the hometown of Jesus. So I wanted to have the name Nazareth inside. We work with data, and people are on the quest to see what data is all about. So the name was, we thought we'll combine the three words together and we get it into Nazdaq.
Nazdaq being a small company in a big world of software. Software companies are gigantic. So what we do is we try to find where are the gaps, because at the end of the day, the big companies sometimes don't see the small picture.
So the term Startup Nation was actually coined, I think, 15 years ago by two guys that wrote a book, Startup Nation. And I think they coined the term, or they may have adopted something that was just kind of emerging as this idea that Israel has an unusually high amount of not only innovative ideas, but companies that are willing to risk themselves, if you will, to bring those ideas to market. Scarcity and need is the mother of invention and innovation. Israel always did not have what it needed, if you will, or it wasn't obvious, our resources. And so the Startup Nation and the whole startup scene is actually quite vibrant even 20 years ago, even 30 years ago. And the government did some key things 30 and 40 years ago to really catalyze it and systematize it. So much technology, innovation, and just innovative ways of solving problems have come out of here. So that's why it's called Startup Nation.
So today there's a problem with data. Data is scattered everywhere. You have multiple software packages. Some are on the cloud, some are on-premise, some of your data is in Excel, CSV, everywhere. So we have a software that collects data from different data sources and produces one unified view of the data. So this is our main offering, and this is helpful because data is the new gold. Everybody needs data. Companies today understand that if you understand your data, and not just one data, but all data in all of your company, you can generate business intelligence, you can generate also artificial intelligence and machine learning, but you need your data to be proper. So we are the ones that prepare the data for you from all the data sources in order to produce one version of the truth from all the systems that you have.
I think the unique thing about Nazdaq is its openness and support for employees to be able to work in high tech and at the same time be involved in ministry, have the flexibility to allow that to happen. My previous job, I was traveling a lot, so I had no time to be involved in local ministries. Being here, that gave me that opportunity to be involved in high tech, doing things I like, as well as have time to be able to contribute to my community.
When I had my first girl, I had to adjust my working hours, and the company was very supportive. After 4 years, I had my twins, and it became much harder for me. So currently, I come first in the morning, I open the office, and I'm the first one to go home to be with my girls. It's not easy, but I think working here and having the support from everyone here, it helps me a lot.
For the Jew, the Arab is the enemy. For the Arab, the Jew is the enemy. When people work together, they get to know each other, and people discover that they are people. They are, I'm a person, I have a family, I have kids, same for others, people. And this is why it's significant that we are also people that are able to share what we stand for, what we believe, and it puts us in a situation that we are like, in some ways, a role model for lots of the Arabs here in Israel. And lots of also the Israeli Jews respect us for what we are and how we have been pioneering being one of the first high-tech companies in all of Israel owned by an Arab. So it enables us also to share our faith with lots of people. So I work here. It's my company, I work here, but at the same time, I'm in ministry in the Association of Baptist Churches in Israel. So I'm a leader here, I'm also a leader there. And I bring my business skills into the ministry as well, where it's much needed to do development, and to organize things and do things, to support also the people who are in the front lines, the people who are the pastors and the preachers and the evangelists and all these people.
Well, I think, when you want to do a transformation, you need to cover multiple areas, right? So the churches have their field that they can access, the people they can access, the way they work. But they cannot reach students, they cannot reach business people as effective, right? Unless those business people are members of the church, but in the general community. So if we have more Christian businesses that are in the business world, that have access to the business people, if we have more schools, if we have more writers, if we have more singers and more music creators, so we can be involved on all the different areas of the world, if I may call it that, and be able to influence it. Because when we're part of it, we're inside, we have more power to make a change than when we're outside and just trying to tap it from the outside. So being a Christian business is very important to reach that community, and that community is very strong and very influential.
I think our calling is not to build companies. Our calling is to build the kingdom of God in general. Sometimes it can be through companies, and sometimes it can be in different venues. So each one in their own calling. But I think if God blessed us in such a way that we are entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs that build our own companies and hire lots of people, and we have resources, we need to always remember that this is His gift and we are serving Him.
Why do you do what you do? Who are you? Who God made you to be? And are you doing His will for the right reasons? Whose kingdom are you building? Once the entrepreneur, who's already anointed and gifted for business, gets clarity on their identity and clarity on their motivation and start learning to behave in healthy ways, then you have some other elements that come in. And that is capital, that is community network, training, and various other specific resources that an ecosystem needs.
I did not choose to be born in Nazareth in a Christian family, traditional Christian. That was not my choice. And then I started thinking, okay, everyone's judging me based on that choice that I did not make. Because the minute I say an Arab, they already judge me. And that's when I realized that there's a reason for that. God chose that for me for a reason. And I need to be thinking about that reason rather than thinking about if I would look at it as a privilege or misfortune that I am in this, small or underprivileged community and that's when I started looking at, okay, then the most important thing for my identity is being a Christian. And being a Christian in this environment where God have chose for me, what does that mean and what is my role?